Okay, good evening, everybody. You're highly welcome to the EDU-P Back to School Conference. I'm Blessing Epum, and I'm the founder of EDU-P Hangout. It's my awesome pleasure to have you all here today. And it's also an awesome pleasure to have some speakers with me here tonight. And I have 5 of them with me tonight, and I'm so happy about it. I'm looking forward to listening to everybody because these are well experienced people. They've been out there in the field of education for so many years right now, and they are well respected. So I'm sure by the time you start listening to them, you would realize that they are really, really loaded. And I will encourage every one of us here today to please pay attention, keep your mics muted and your videos so that we can have a quality time together. And when the speaker is talking, please do not interrupt. If you have something to say, please use the chat box. If you have a question, please type it in the chat box. Once the speaker is done, I will read out your question. So as much as possible, we want decorum so that we can have the best time together. Okay. So EDU-P, for those who are just hearing it for the first time, simply means educators and parents. Okay. So the whole idea, the whole vision of EDU-P is to have a connection, to create a connection between educators and parents. Usually in a school system, we realize that teachers, they tend to do a lot of work. And some teachers, at a point, they feel, oh, I wish I can get some support from home too. Like, I'm doing so much, but like the parents are not really seeing what I'm doing, or the parents are not really involved, in this child. Then also we have parents who would say, the teacher is not carrying me along. I don't even know what's happening with my child. I don't even know what my child is learning. The school is not carrying me along. And that is why I came about this vision. And by the grace of God, we've been in existence for a year or more now, yes, going to 2 years now, but we started last year. All right, so it's been a great time because we have our WhatsApp group, we have a Facebook group as well. And we thought it's nice for us to have every one of you come together. Okay, let's sit together. Let's discuss some of these things. How can we connect together? How can we work together? So the teacher is not working in isolation. The parent is not working in isolation. As a class teacher, I have put this to work on several occasions, and I have tangible results. It's different when you work with a child and the parents do not have an idea of what is going on with that child. And when you carry that parent along, and the parent is involved in that child, there is always a great difference. I've seen it work. So we are here to learn together. I'm not going to give all the ideas now because I have 5 extremely wonderful and well-experienced speakers with me here tonight, okay? So we are going to learn from every one of them. So without wasting much time, I'm going to introduce to us our first speaker for tonight, and she is Joy Medupin. And Joy Medupin is an educator and administrator with well over 2 decades of experience that cuts across all levels of education. She is excellence-driven and has made very high level of success in the education space by transforming the lives of children, parents, educators, and schools to exceed expectations. She is the principal consultant at Rolex Education. Ladies and gentlemen, great men and women, we have our first speaker for tonight with us here, Joy Medupin. I would like her to please unmute her mic, yes, and also display her video so that we can all see. So it's going to be a question and answer segment. So I have some questions here for her, and she's going to take us through. So the very first question, nice to have you here, Ms. Medupe.
Hi, thank you, Mrs.
Yes,
Epum. I'm happy to be here. Good evening, everybody.
Yes, good evening. You're highly welcome, ma'am. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Ms. Medupe, without wasting much of our time and keeping everybody waiting, I'll just go straight to the point. In your many years of experience as a school consultant and administrator, how would you rate the level of parental involvement in their children's education? Now, I'm asking, do you think that the parents are doing enough? Do you think that the teachers and the school leaders are also giving enough opportunity to the parents to make them more involved in their child's learning? What would you say about this question?
Okay, thank you very much. I personally think that the parents need to do more. Let me put it in a positive way. The parents need to do more. However, over the years, I mean, if I look back at when I started teaching as compared to now, I think the enlightenment has been on the rise, and there's a good level of improvement in parental involvement. However, I think there's still so much room for improvement. And in your question, talking about schools encouraging parental involvement, I think as educators and school leaders, we need to do so much more. You know, when I talk to school leaders, I let them know that the same way you're very particular about and have a deep insight about your job, these parents are not experts in your field. So many of them grew up with the fact that parents only pay their school fees and have no business going to schools and all of that. So the onus lies on you as a school leader to enlighten your parents and to let them see that times have changed. We're in the 21st century. We're not in the 20th century. So if that worked back then, it cannot work now. There has to be a very strong homeschool partnership to be able to deliver and to bring out the best in the children. So I really would say that parents need to do so much more. And most importantly, the school has to enlighten more and give avenues, opportunities for this to happen. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So I like when you said homeschool partnership. I think it's time for us to begin to realize that it's more of a partnership. Yes, I think that's a key word. It's a partnership. So as a parent, let's not feel, oh, you've gone to school and that's all. Let me go mind my business. And teacher is also feeling, parents, keep to yourself. Don't interfere in my job. I'm the teacher. I'm the professional. I know what's best for your child. So it's a partnership. So there should be a connection and you should work hand in hand. Thank you so much, Mrs. Medupe, for that. And another question I have for you. In fact, two more questions. And now, a lot of parents, they claim to be too busy, you know, especially in this part of the world. I know that a lot of parents claim to be too busy to attend to their child's educational needs. You know, they're too busy to check their homework or to come to school. And most of them, they employ private lesson teachers to fill the gaps in their absence. What's your opinion on this strategy? What do you think about this?
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Epum. So there's absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, in all of my years of experience, about 13 years, I've been a home tutor and I've delivered results with children and families. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, if, for instance, I'm a parent, I studied economics, and my child, I mean, the curriculum has changed. What I did as an economics student in SS1, the children are doing quite a number of things in their math and all of that in primary 5, 6. I mean, especially for the science subjects, a whole lot has changed. So there's nothing wrong about employing professionals. The only thing I would advise parents is partnership again. No matter how professional an educator is, you need to know what is going on. You need to monitor what is going on. You need to be sure that when the teacher is there, the teacher is there. You also need to be in touch with the school. So if you have a home tutor working with your child, you need to monitor performance. How is that translating to improvement in the child at school? Because unfortunately, some tutors are not very sincere. So you see that at home with tasks, the child does everything right. But when the child is in school or you have to work with the child on your own, the child does not know what to do. So that supervision, that interaction is very important. And even on the side of the home tutors as well, there are some expectations they would want the child or the parents to be able to deliver on for home tutoring to be effective. So when the parents are aloof, they just make payments when it's time to make payments. They're not finding out, okay, these children do not have the books, they don't have the time, or I come in to tutor and it takes 30 minutes for the child to be around and there's nobody to talk to but the nanny who is helpless, to make changes, nothing would happen. So it's a good strategy, but the supervision has to be there. You also have to always interact with the tutor. How is my child doing? Why is my child not doing this right? How can I help my child to do this area better? And in school, monitor, find out what is the impact of that tutoring. I think that the parents will just need to stay in between the tutor and the school to ensure that everything is going on well. That synergy is very critical to deliver on results that the parents actually expect. So the parents cannot sit aloof. Even if they're not experts in that field, they still need to be in tandem with what is going on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. So long and short of it is that even though you have a home tutor, you can't just sit aloof like you just said. So you still have to find out if whatever the tutor is doing is in line with what the school curriculum demands, okay? So that you don't just occupy the child, you feel the child as a tutor, whereas the child isn't learning, or whatever he's learning or she's learning doesn't correspond with the school's expectation. And even going away from academics, we've seen situations whereby some children are molested, harassed by home tutors, so that's a topic for another day, but so exactly. So you can't just stay aloof, all right? So thank you so much for that, Mrs. Medipin. And before I let you go, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And with your wealth of experience in school leadership, how would you rate the participation of parents during parents' conferences, open house or open day, as some may call it, which are organized for parents to visit the school and learn more about their children's performances? What will you say? Have they been responding well? And what advice would you give to parents who do not have the time or do not create time to attend such programs?
Okay, thank you. So what I would say, like I answered in my first question, if I compared back to about 25 years ago when I started teaching, there is some level of improvement, especially with the access to information on social media. There is some improvement. However, there's still room for more improvement. So yes, there's some improvement in participation. However, there's still a large gap. So parents need to make out time to come. And I want to use this opportunity, if parents are on this platform, especially the dads. Many a times when we call for school events, we might have one dad or no dad at all. And you know the role that a father plays in the life of a child, his daughter or his son. All of these things come up together to bring about a total child and helps the school to achieve their goals. So parents need to make our time. I know that it's a busy city. I mean, parents will say, if I don't pay the school fees, how will I make the money? But there's something I always like to tell parents, in as much as, yes, empathy, I do understand, because really, if you not make payments, a child will not be in school. But I always like to say, have you ever painted a picture that however busy you are, you get a call from a hospital and you hear that, oh, your child so. I'm telling you, you will drop whatever you're doing and in a jiffy, you'll be in that hospital. The school is also like a hospital. It's not until the child is diagnosed with tuberculosis or something. The school is a hospital that works on the minds of the child, the emotional state, the psychological state, the mental capacity of the child, social skills, and all of that. So please, parents, make out time. Then to my fellow educators and school leaders, planning is essential. We're all busy people. Understand that parents are not teachers. They might not always have their holidays, their leave time during summer and all of that. Be realistic in your planning. Have a schedule of activities, your itinerary at the beginning of the term, so that they can take adequate permission for school events. Then take advantage of social media, or do I say online platforms? I think that's better than social media in this context. Online platforms. You may not always need to call parents to come around. I mean, we're having something fantastic like this. There are quite a number of parents on this platform as well as educators, and we're learning. Times have changed. The method you used in a school 25 years ago cannot work. So you might not always have parents around, but if you take advantage of social media and look for incentives to motivate parents to be involved, I think you would achieve a lot of results. However, I mean, you will always realize that you could always have exceptions to the rule. 100% presence would not be there. But if you adopt one or two of the strategies I've talked about, let them see the benefits, and through the children as well, get them to encourage their parents to be around. I think that we're going to achieve a whole lot more, and this partnership will deliver on excellent results. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for your excellent contributions, and I'm sure that we've all learned a thing or two from you. I've actually learned a lot from what you have said. Thank you so much, and I hope that we put these into practice, you know, with the school leaders here, educators and parents. I hope that we have gained one or two things from this meeting today, and we are going to work on all what she has given us as tips. So thank you so much, Mrs. Nedupe, my boss, for being here with me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. You're doing a great job. Well done.
Education. Thank you too. You're welcome. Yes, thank you everybody. And I can't find any message on the chat box, so that means there's no question. But if there's a question, you can still type it and we'll address that later. So very quickly, we move to the next speaker, who is already here. She's been here, yes, even before we started. Teresa best week, and she's joining us all the way from Spain. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. Yes, and she's one of my mentors. Thank you so much, Teresa. So I'll just quickly read her bio. So Teresa is a teacher trainer and materials writer based in Spain. She loves talking to other teachers about education and runs an online community of English language for English language professionals. In her free time, she likes gardening and watching science fiction. That's really interesting. So I present to you the best week. So thank you so much, T. I call her T for short. Thank you. It's a great honor to have you here tonight.
Thanks, Blessing, for organizing the event.
Yes, thank you too for joining us. So very quickly, see, I'm going to ask. Now, a lot of teachers do not know how they can get the parents of their learners involved in the class or in the school's learning activities. You know, they want to, but they do not know how. Now, as an experienced teacher, trainer, and mentor, what ideas will you share with teachers facing this challenge? Yes, please.
Well, I mean, I think as you're talking about, this idea of a homeschool connection, homeschool partnership is so important in motivating our students and encouraging an enthusiasm for education. So I think transmitting that idea to the parents is important at first, that if they're involved, if they show an interest in their child's education, then their children will be more motivated themselves as well. I think there are definitely things that we can do to build that homeschool connection. So one idea would be sending home questions that parents can ask their children, because I think often parents at the end of the school day, they might say, oh, what did you do at school today? And sometimes they might get a bit of a response. Sometimes they might just get, oh, I played in the playground, I talked to my friends, and not really get much information about what they actually did in the classes. So if the teachers can prepare a couple of questions that are very specific about a topic that they covered, and build that into a routine that parents can do with their children after school, when they're walking home, when they're eating dinner, when they're getting ready for bed. I think that can be one way that we can kind of build this homeschool connection. And I think another thing, as Joy mentioned, making use of online platforms. Definitely, you know, checking the permissions that you have with schools, with parents, whether you can share photos of the students working, you know, from behind, show them kind of what they're doing in their books and things like that. I think as well, that's really motivating for parents because their children are at school maybe 6 to 8 hours a day. And if they're not kind of getting much information from their children when they go home, they don't know what's happening. So being able to share pictures of things that are happening in the classroom can be really motivating for the parents as well.
Interesting. I really love that. I really love that. Like when it talks about sending questions, you know, I remember a time I taught the children and I told them to take an assignment home. And in that assignment, they're supposed to write the occupation of their parents. Because of their level, 4 to 5 years old, they don't know the occupations of their parents. So they had to go find out. So the parents were involved. And so many of them got to know their parents' occupation. You know, the next day, oh, my dad is a doctor, my mom is this, and all of that. So we can try to include that as well as teachers. Try to infuse questions that will be connected to their parents, that will make the parents also involved in the learning of their children. And yes, the idea of sending pictures, awesome. It has always worked for me and for so many other educators who have tried that out. You know, you see a parent might just be having a bad day in the office, and next thing they get a picture of the child dancing or jumping, you know, and they're like, whoa, and that might just, you know, change the whole mood of that parent for the better. So yes, very, very interesting, and we can always try this out. And it has worked for so many of us, and I'm sure it's going to work for you as well. Okay, back to you, T. From your international interaction with several educational bodies and training offered to thousands of educators around the world, what advice would you give to school leaders and school owners who restrict their staff from interacting with the parents of children in their classes? You know, there are some schools that do things. They say no emails to parents, no phone calls to parents, no visitation to parents. What's your perspective on these issues, Steve? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think if you're a school leader or school owner and this is your school policy, it's important to explain the rationale for this policy to your teachers. There could be very valid reasons why a school has a system like this in place. Perhaps they've had problems in the past when there has been contact between parents and something bad has happened. So they're wary of setting up a system again. It could be accessibility. Perhaps you're working in an environment where parents don't have a lot of the parents don't have access to email or don't have access to social media. So from a school's perspective, they want to keep this fairness and not start up a system that alienates or isn't available to certain parents. And then I think if you're a teacher in this situation and you do want to set up a system where you can have contact with the parents, approach the school leaders but with a proposal. Don't just say, you know, why aren't we doing this? Approach the school leaders with, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to do it. This is what steps will be involved in setting it up. And these are the benefits that we think we'll get. I think that school leaders are much more open to adopting new policies when things are explained, when they're given a solution to problems. In my experience, if you go to a school leader and say, this isn't working, their first question will be, how can we make it work? So if you go to them with that solution to what you see as a problem, then they might be more open to change as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa. Yes. So if you're just joining us, this is Teresa Best Week from Spain, and she's a teacher trainer. And from what she just said, you should have gained one or two things from her. I've gained a lot of wisdom from her. So a lot of us, a lot of teachers, we just say in our school, they don't allow us to call parents. They don't allow us to do this. They don't allow us. They don't allow. They restrict us a lot. But we just gained some wisdom from Teresa Best Week. How have you proven that this is needful? How have you approached the school leader? The approach, matters, goes a long way. Yes, the school might have their reasons, like what she said, they might have past experiences, that's weren't so favorable, and they're trying to curtail that or just niche that, somehow. But there could be a positive reason as well. So if you're able to present your points, in a very good manner, explain why you feel you should be able to connect with your parents and tell them how you're going to do it, it's possible that the policy is re-examined, So thank you so much for that awesome tip. Thank you. Yeah, so before I let you go, T, from an international perspective, what would you say about the attitude of some parents this time who feel they have paid the fees? I mean, I've paid my child's school fees. Therefore, teachers, you should go do the work, go do your job, and just leave me out, So is this peculiar? I know you work a lot with Africa. You do a lot of work with Africa, even though you are not African. So is this peculiar to only Nigeria or Africa, or does it happen in other continents of the world? And for parents who have, such orientation, what advice you have for them? What suggestions will you give to them and to teachers who encounter such parents?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a global phenomenon. I can't even say the word. It's definitely something that happens around the world. And I just feel it's such a shame when parents aren't engaged, when education, as I said before, children are at school for about a third of their life when they're young, and it's a huge chunk of time that for parents not to be at all interested in. It seems incredible to me that there are parents with that attitude. So I think, as I said again at the beginning, really explaining to the parents the impact that their interest in their child will have. Education, that it happens at home as well, the things that children learn from their parents, from their family members, from things they watch on TV, from things they learn when they're playing with their friends. So education is not confined to the school, to the institution. And I think really we need to be encouraging parents to develop an enthusiasm for education in their children.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you, T. We've gained a lot of wisdom from you tonight. Thank you for sharing and for joining us tonight. Thank you. Yes,
thanks
thank you
again
so
for
much.
organizing.
Yes, thank you. Yes, if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box and we'll go through it later on. Yes, we move straight to our third speaker for tonight, and he is Maxwell Silas Akinyele. Yes, so you can unmute your mic now and let's see your video. I'll just read his bio. Yes, Mr. Silas Akinyele Maxwell is a seasoned entrepreneur who's devoted to lifelong learning and things that have to do with it business-wise. I'm sure he will explain this to us by the time he starts talking. He has a diploma in law from the University of Jos, Plateau State, finished as the best graduating student in linguistics, Yoruba major in Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and had his postgraduate in education at Nottingham University, UK. He is a trainer and a life coach. He presently works in James Hope College, Chevron, Lagos State. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you tonight Maxwell Silas. So welcome on board.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good to have you.
Yes.
Good to be on board. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome. And before I ask you some questions, I have something very interesting in your profile that says that you are an edupreneur and you like to, you're devoted to lifelong learning and things that also with it business-wise. So in 1 minute, can you just, some people are thinking, what does it mean by edupreneur? What does it mean by business-wise? So just clarify your thoughts before we go into the business for tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, when you are into business, it was in those days they will say trader. Later on, it becomes a business. You're a businessman, you're a businesswoman. Presently now, you're an entrepreneur. You look at your environment, you study your environment, you see the challenges, and you say, how can you be a solution? So most times in providing solutions, you engage in business because you are providing services or goods. Okay, so what I do is to check around, you know, like I started out with books. I love to read a lot. So I started out selling books, John Maxwell, inspirational books, motivational books, leadership books. Okay, then it got to a time, some of my colleagues like, oh, look, they have children and they find it difficult to get some books for their children. Oh, okay, my children are in primary school, they are in this class, and what book can you recommend? Oh, this, my son is having this challenge. Can you recommend the novel? Can you recommend? So, okay, no problem, I will do that. So we started doing that. Then from there, can you get us a laptop? So that's how you know, okay, so you look at that. But it has to do with education.
Awesome. Yes, I got that. That's really awesome. And I'm sure a lot of us have gained one or two things. There's some teachers here right now that feel that their salary is too little or what they're earning is not enough. Yeah, so he just shared something with us right now, you know, so you can be an edupreneur, you can be a teacher and also add the business part of it into your teaching. Yes, parents are already asking him for books and he's making some money from that without crying that his salary is too little. You know, so we can do something, right? Thank you, Mr. Maxwell, for sharing that great idea with us. Yes, thank you. So back to business, talking about parent-teacher relationship. Now, you are a teacher, you're an educator, a seasoned one. You have worked with some of the topmost schools here in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, as a seasoned educator with many years of experience in some of the best schools in Lagos, Nigeria, Mr. Maxwell, how would you describe parent-teacher relationships? Have you partnered with parents to provide support for their children in your classroom? Okay, maybe academic or in their behavioral pattern. Yeah, so can you just share with us, how did you win the hearts of your parents?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think as Teresa said, that it's a global phenomenon. It's not all about, it's not limited to, you know, maybe the Africans alone. The parents-teacher collaboration is very, very poor, I must say. And judging by the lifestyle in Lagos State, we know Lagos is a very, very busy place to be. It's a very busy place to be. So most often than not, you realize that most of the parents don't have the time to follow up on what is happening to their children. And when you even try, you send messages, you do this, you do that, most of them don't really even respond, except when something happens. Probably maybe the result is out and they feel like their children didn't do so well. That is when they would now call you. What's going on? How come I pay so much? Look at how much you are charging. What are you guys even doing in that school and all that and all that? But when when you call, when you send messages, you try to, you realize that most times they don't really have the time. We know that life in Lagos is actually very, 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 very busy. We can even say it's chaotic. Most of the children don't really get to see their parents. They Before they wake up, they are gone in the night. Before they return, they are asleep. Weekends, they will tell you they don't have time. It's either one occasion, maybe business and all that. So you see that because of that is somehow poor. It's poor. It's poor. It's very poor, I must say. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you. Yes, I want to agree with you on that. A lot of educators have actually said that they don't really have support from their parents, but like Teresa said, what's the strategy? How have you made it known to the parents that this is important? How have you presented it to them? Okay, so yes, we might say that they're not really supportive, but sometimes we as educators too, we have to be mindful, I would say, at this point. There are some teachers that actually give overwhelming assignments to some children. You see a child coming back from school, math, English, science, quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning, Greek, only one child. And the parent comes home from work at 10, they're like, see, zip that bag and go to bed, please. I have to be close that bag. I must not see that bag open. You understand? So as teachers, we also need to have empathy. These parents, they are working because they need to pay the fees. Whereas we know that some of them, they are just not interested. But like we said, we have to encourage them. We have to see reasons why they wouldn't just say, I've paid the fees and you just go do your job. We have to be very creative in our approach. At times, let's even make it look like fun, like fun for them. You can maybe, like, a time I thought about family. And when I taught, I think that was year 3 or year 4 class, I taught them about family tree. And I told the children to go make a tree about the family, make a book, like my family tree book. You need to see what parents did. Oh my, I think I should have looked for those pictures from Google and, just displayed it here tonight. These parents went, at a point, it became a competition. Like, I want my child's family tree book to be the finest in the class. Some will say, oh, can I repeat my book? I want to change the book I did, So if you make it look like something too difficult, parents might not get involved. So yes. So that's
I think. Thank you very much. It's a very nice, way of getting them involved. But I must say that when you look at it, it seems parents of children in nursery schools, let's say maybe infant school, okay, the key stage 1, it seems that they are more involved than those in key stage 2, 3, and 4. Because, some of them are like this. These are babies. Oh, whatever they are interested in, let me go there with them. In fact, I know there are some schools that we have this parents-teachers competition. They come around for tea day, color code, and different kind of program just to bring the parents at that partnership with them. They come. But if it is the primary, the key stage 2, 3, 4, that's upper primary, the lower secondary school, and the upper one, you hardly see. Most of them will get home tutors from math to English to science. All around the clock, they have home tutors, even swimming, different home tutors, because they know they are not there. Now, one of the things I discover is that it seems that what has actually helped in some of the schools I've worked is the school policy, the parent-teachers policy. If there is a meeting, if there is a challenge, and the school, through the teachers, try to get across to the parents must come. If the parents misses on 2, 3 occasions, there are sanctions that will be, that will be given to such a parent, and that has helped in some schools. But there are some schools that it's like the parents are demigods. Whatever they say, whatever they do, they just worship the parents. In such environments, you realize that their commitment is very, very low. There was a time one of my wonderful students was well-behaved, intelligent, and all that. I just realized that the grade was dropping, the grades were dropping, and I was like, what was going on? I called her, and are you having any? She said no. I said, so why? She said she found it difficult to see at the back. And I was like, but first term wasn't like that. Second term wasn't like that. So what's going on? She said, well, she doesn't know. And I said, okay, there's no problem. Did you tell mommy? Did you tell daddy? Did you? I said, yes, she did. Well, they said that she should not worry. Everything will be okay. Okay, so I took it up, with my middle manager. That's another thing. The school policy. As an educator, you may think this is the right thing to do. It may be the right thing to do, but you must work in line with your school policy. I've said that it seems it is easier for parents in, with children in nursery schools, infant school to get involved, probably because they know that these children cannot speak and it is very good for them to be there. But those ones that can speak and all that, it is not so easy for you just to take things lost into your hands and act. There are policies. So before you take any action, you must do what? Talk to your line manager. Carry the school along.
Okay.
So I asked my line manager, what should I do? This is what I noticed, and this. Okay, there's no problem. Just call. Make a call to the parents, and I did. And when she came, I said, no, don't mind that. She's not serious. When they gave birth to her, we checked the eye. It was the older brother. The older brother has an eye challenge. We know that we've gotten, glasses. But she has perfect. In fact, they said she has perfect eyes. I said, but I know she doesn't lie. She is good. She doesn't disturb. She's not distracted. So if she's saying she can't see, why are you now arguing?
Yes.
So please, I'm just pleading. Please take it serious. And she said there's no problem. Since you said that, I'm going to, and they made, appointment to get her glasses, which actually, solved that situation. So it depends. If the school policy is encouraging that, some parents will sit up. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell. You actually answered the next question I was going to ask you. I was going to ask if there was any real life experience, and you've just given us a real life experience of a child that couldn't see properly, and you didn't just jump the gun by calling the parents, straight away. Some parents might feel embarrassed, but thankfully, you went through your sectional head who gave you the go-ahead, and it went well, and the parents was able to address the situation. So we've learned a thing or two from you as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell. So it's very important that, yes, when we observe things in children, please, as teachers, don't just pretend, and say, please, let me just mind my business. They didn't come. I'm not a doctor. I didn't come here to be checking children's eyes. No, when you observe something in a child, that it's not okay, you can walk up to your immediate supervisor or sectional head, as the case may be, and, find out. The parents might just be so busy that they don't even know what's going on with their children. I've had a similar experience, and the mother thanked me profusely. They had to get the boy glasses to wear. She never knew till I communicated that to her, and she was so grateful for that information. So thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell, for elaborating on that. Thank you. So without wasting much time, we are going to move to our next speaker for tonight. Wow. Yes, we have Rashida Sadiq here with us tonight, and yes, thank you. Please put on your video and unmute your mic. Thank you so much. And she's somebody that I really I really adore. I know I see her as someone that has a coat of many colors. Like she's a lady with a coat of many colors, so that is who she is. And the bio here doesn't really describe her well enough. you need to know who Rashida Sadiq is. She's really vast, and she's into so many things. Education, as a speaker, she's into literacy, she's a writer, quite a lot. And tonight she'll be talking about emotional intelligence. Yes, and I'm sure you gain a lot from her. So if you've been busy doing other things, at this point, I would like you to please pay more attention. Okay, so I'll read our bio. Rashida Sadiq. Yes, hello Rashida. Thank you. Thank you so much for honoring us tonight. I'm so happy to have you here with us. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll quickly read our bio. Rashida Sadiq is a teacher and literacy advocate who runs a mobile library. She loves to explore and share the concept of emotional intelligence. She's also a teacher trainer and loves to have fun telling stories and voice acting. Once again, I welcome you to this conference, Rashida Sadiq, and it's a great delight to have you here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. Yeah, so quickly, Rashida, you have influenced the educational space, yes, both in Nigeria and internationally. I can say that with all confidence. Yes. Now, in the area of emotional intelligence, Rashida, can you tell us what it means to be emotionally intelligent as a teacher or a school leader? This word is still vague to some people, so please tell us.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I will start by defining in brief what emotional intelligence is, because even outside the space of education, it's not a very well-known concept. So emotional intelligence is basically, in the simplest form, the ability to manage one's emotions and understand the emotions of others. Now, as a teacher, as teachers, we're normally under a lot of pressure. And we also have to deal with a lot of people. The first aspect of managing your own emotions helps you to deal with those personal pressures, while the second aspect of understanding other people's emotions helps you to manage the numerous relationships. So you're going to be dealing with students, you're going to be dealing with parents, you're going to be dealing with your colleagues and your superiors within the school system. In emotional intelligence, we have 4 key areas. So we have the self-awareness. We also have the self-regulation. Those are the parts that have to do with you as an educator. Do you really know who you are? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your key attitudes? What are your triggers? What are the things that help you to relax? All of these come under self-awareness, and they help you with self-regulation. So you're able to better handle yourself in these high-stress situations that are involved in teaching. So we're always against the clock. We're working with deadlines. We have to mark scripts. We have to deal with students. Sometimes things you never expected happen in the class. Students are fighting. A child comes in moody. A parent comes in upset. How do you deal with all of these things? You have to, first of all, be able to regulate your emotion. And then we move to the second aspect, where we have social awareness. Are you aware of the cultural norms in the area that you work, the type of parents, the socioeconomic class, things like that? You have to be aware. You know, the way you will approach a parent in a high socioeconomic class may not be the exact same way you will approach a parent in a village school. So you have to be aware of these things in the society, and then you have to look at relationship management. How do I manage relationships with teachers, with colleagues, with parents, and with the learners? So it's very, very important that as educators, we understand these things and we're able to put everything in perspective and treat everyone the way they should be treated. A key concept or component of emotional intelligence is empathy. If you as a teacher are able to put yourself in the shoes of your learner, look into what they exactly need, you know, not necessarily only cognitive now. What are the needs of that learner? What are the interests of that learner? What are the ways they work best? All of this is embedded in emotional intelligence. You find out you're going to be an excellent teacher and you're not going to burn out easily. Same with those of us that happen to be in management or administration. We need to be really emotionally intelligent to deal with the parents, deal with the other teachers that are working with us. So I hope that's given a little insight of why it's important and what it is.
Yes, thank you. But your last statement, I'm still going to ask you on that, talking about teachers and school leaders, how they can be emotionally intelligent. But I must say that if we haven't taken anything from what Rashida just said, she talks about self-awareness. First of all, as an educator, you must actually, know who you are. Okay. Then she talks about empathy. I think you should take that. If I just write it down somewhere, empathy, put yourself in the position of your parents, the parents of the children, and even your learners, put yourself in their position. It will really help you a lot. So some of us that complain that our parents are not doing enough, our parents are not there, if you try to even go closer to the children, you might try to find out that something might not just be going on so well. So before we just conclude and we push your child aside and say your parents are not even serious to education, let me focus on those who are serious. Have you shown empathy? Have you tried to find out, what's actually going on with such parents or with such a learner? They might be passing through a kind of challenge. So thank you very much, Rashida. What you just said is very, very important. Now, I'm going to ask you, in what ways can school leaders and teachers be trained to become emotionally intelligent? I see a lot of teachers, they go for training. The one in vogue now is IT. Everybody's running to ChatGPT training, artificial intelligence training. In fact, the last one we had on IT, I had over 100 people in attendance. But look at us talking about real class situations that we have, some of us here tonight. I'm so thankful for your presence, but not as many as the one talking about IT. Some people don't really take this, they don't really see emotional intelligence as something that they should be running to learn about. So can you tell us, why is it important for school leaders, teachers to be trained in this subject of emotional intelligence? Maybe just give us some reasons, talk to us about it.
Right. So it's really important for us to get trained so that we can embody exactly what emotional intelligence is. Because sometimes when we talk about these things, we feel, is it not, treating people well, having empathy, but there's more to it. So I talked a bit about knowing yourself. If you're able to get a coach that can help you to discover yourself better, you're going to thrive. You're going to know when, for example, is the best time for you as an individual to prepare your lesson plans. You know that, okay, do I work best in the middle of the night, early in the morning? Do I need to take a cup of tea before I go to school so that I can function well? You know yourselves better. You know your triggers, you know what helps you, you know what puts you down, and you can try to avoid some of those things that are bringing you down. Now, outside of getting a coach, it is important for schools to invite people that are skilled, that are knowledgeable on emotional intelligence to come in and train the teachers. And I know that a number of schools have started training on soft skills, maybe communication skills, maybe, classroom management, and all of that would come under aspects of emotional intelligence in education, motivational theory and things like that. But we need to dig deeper. And we do say, there's this popular saying that says Maslow before Bloom, that we should touch the hearts of the learners even before we think of the cognitive. Another saying says nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And the schools need to know this. We know, as educators, that we have three main aspects. We have the cognitive, we have the affective, and the psychomotor. But many of us kind of ignore or push to the back the aspect of the affective. And this is the most important. If a student loves you, they would do anything to try to get to the subject, to try to understand the subject. They'll be willing to reach out to you. But if a student dislikes a teacher, no matter how interesting and fun that subject was prior, the student starts to lose interest. So we need to teach our educators, we need to help them to become better, and we need to be intentional. And I think that's where the gap is. A lot of us are not intentional. So there are courses, there are books, there are trainings that teachers and educators can engage with that will help to improve emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, it's a continuum. You're never totally there. It's just like learning. You can't say that you finished learning. You can be, okay, I'm 70% emotionally intelligent because I'm able to relate with others and manage myself well, but there's always room for improvement. And there are tools that we can use to actually help ourselves to monitor our progress, you know, and we can even do something as simple as getting teachers in the school to study about different aspects of emotional intelligence and come and share what they've learned with other teachers. If we're not yet at the level where we want to get someone like me or any other teacher or coach to come into the school and work with the teachers. But it's very important that we're intentional about it. And then we try to look at individuals, because sometimes there are individual aspects. So there's a place for general training, and then there's a place for individual coaching or individual progress monitoring of the teachers, so that we ensure that there's less rate of burnout and there's more impact with the learners. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. You said something that nobody cares to know how much you know, but they care to know how much you care. You know, so if you didn't take anything away from what Rashida has just said, please, you can write that down. Nobody cares to know how much you know, but they care to know how much you care, you know. And I've seen that a lot with so many parents, so many children, and the parents that I've worked with, you know. So you might feel that you're a fantastic teacher, you're doing so much, and you're not being appreciated, or your parents are not even seeing anything. They don't even value what you do for their children. Maybe you don't care enough. You know, emotional intelligence, you know, a child is absent from school, you don't get to know what's going on with that child. You know, a child comes to school feeling hot, you don't get to know or to ask questions about that child. You know, so like Pachidat has said, it's something that school leaders and school owners should look into. And I'm sure that there is a whole lot more about emotional intelligence that time will not permit us to share today. So you can get a coach or a mentor coming to your school, mentor one or two teachers that will train the others. It's a very important aspect that we must look into as educators, because we have a lot of teachers these days that are frustrated on the job, you know. So we need to really look at that aspect critically. All right, so before I let you go, Rashida, yes, you are passionate about literacy. Yes, and you have appeared in several international conferences with awards accorded you for your contributions to improving literacy skills in your community. And in addition, you also run a mobile library. Yes. Now, a lot of teachers that I've met, you know, they grapple with, you know, teaching children how to read. So do you think that parent-teacher relationships can influence the early literacy of children? Now, away from emotional intelligence, I'm going to your other quote. You know, I said you are a lady with a coat of many colors. So I'm dragging you to literacy now. I know that you specialize, is a key area that you're specialized in. So now, do you think parent-teacher relationship can influence the early literacy of children? What would you say to this, please?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it's essential that parents take a front seat when it comes to literacy. And I'm happy that we have a number of parents here. And even if we don't, please do spread the message. Literacy can start from the lap of the mom. And basically, that is what literacy is. You know, there are different aspects. It's the ability to communicate, reading and writing, speaking, listening. So all of this starts from the lap of the mother. And this is where the issue of having time for the children comes in. It's very important that we don't just see them as babies that are mindless. We need to see them as, from the day they are born, we're forming bonds and they're learning from the day they are born. So some people go as far as reading to the babies in the womb. Now, there are different scientific, opinions around whether this is good or this is important or this is necessary, but I am 100% sure that if you start to read to a baby once they're born, they've started learning. They've started making associations with print and words. They may not even understand the words that you're saying, but they know that when you look into that book, you see something and it becomes words in your mouth. So that is already association with prints. They're relating prints to sound. And that is the beginning of phonetic awareness or phonemic awareness, you know, knowing that print relates to sound. And the more we read to them, the more we model fluency. And the beauty of reading is that even before they start to learn any sounds, they can start to even understand some words. But they know that, okay, mommy pauses here. They don't know what a comma is, but they know that the mommy pauses here. They don't know what a full stop is, but they know that at a point there's a stop. So you're already modeling to them fluent reading. And they are relating reading to someone that they love. So if my mom reads to me, I love my mom, I start to love reading. That is something that we have as a bond together. And when I go to school and my teacher also reads to me, it's a continuation of that bond. And then I go back home and my mom reads to me, or my mom asks me questions about what I've read. There's so much that it enforces the beauty of reading, the importance of reading to the children. And it's also important that we read not only to the children, read around the children, so that they see reading as something that is a tool for life, not something that is just for school. They see it as a means of entertainment. They see it as a means of information. They see it as a means of growth. So you're reading whatever it is, poetry, religious books, stories, news. But parents have a great role to play. How many books do you have in your home? When have you gifted, or when last did you gift your child a book? Let them relate all of this to you showing them love, and you see them starting to love reading. Even before they can read, they ask, Mommy, please read me a bedtime story, or anybody around them is reading to them. And it promotes the love of reading, and it helps them. And if you are, if you're an invested parent that you should be, it's not out of place to learn phonics from your child's teacher. So you're going to help them along with the sounds, because we also find that a number of parents are confused. They learn to the alphabets, and now we're bringing in s, a, or whatever sounds and blending, and like, what is this? Didn't they teach you ABC? But as a parent, find out, this is the new best practice. Find out what it's doing, how to do it, how you can help your child. Because some parents just, I don't know this aboko that you guys are doing, so I'm not going to. When you go to school, your teacher will teach you. It doesn't take too much effort for you as a parent to learn phonics and then practice with your child, so that you're building on whatever it is that is done in school. So please, if I need to tell you the truth, it's actually possible to teach a child to read even before they ever get to school. But some of us are not equipped. Some of us don't have the time. You don't have to be your child's teacher, but you do have to support. And something as simple as reading a bedtime story 10 to 15 minutes every day will work wonders for their vocabulary, fluency, and all of that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Rashida. Thank you. And I would like to, at this point, just emphasize that we should please keep our mics muted so that we can have a quality time together. Thank you so much, Rashida, for what you just shared with us. So parents really need to get involved, yes, in encouraging their children to read, not just in school, but also at home, and teachers as well. We have a role to play. Some teachers just feel, oh, they are too little, what can they read? Let's just do the reading in school. No. So you can also encourage them to read. Send home some specific pages that you want them to read. Encourage the parents that, oh, I want them to read from page 1 to 3 or page 1 to 4. And it's like someone like me, I always ask for videos or for pictures, so that will tell me that the child is actually doing it. And we have some cases where some teachers might say, oh, I teach in a village school, and the parents are not educated. They can't read. So what I would say is this: if the child can read, if as a teacher you've taught the child and the child can read, all you have to do is to encourage the parents. Please, mommy, or please, daddy, I know you might not be able to read to this child for now, but he can read to you. I just want you to allow him read to you, so the child can actually read to their parents. So it doesn't have to be that the parents will be the ones to. So some people might say, I don't have educated parents. So what do I do? If your child can read, and I think from age 5, 6, we have children who are beginning readers and they're beginning to gain some confidence in their reading. So let them be aware that they can also read at home, not only when they come to school that they should read. They can read at home. So just talk to your parents. I want this child to read to you. So you just sit and listen to the child. Now for older children who are able to also speak in the native language, of their parents, they can read the story and they can interpret the native language to their parents. So the parents can also enjoy the story time. So the bedtime story that Machida talked about, the story is not just for a particular class of people. So even in the village, you can have bedtime story, okay? And you can also start with picture reading. Maybe a child who doesn't know how to read well, you can start with pictures. The child tries to interpret the pictures. Okay, this is the boy, he's going to school. Oh, he's looking sad. Maybe he hasn't eaten breakfast and all of that. You can start from there. Let's just encourage them. And she said something very important. How many parents buy their children books as gifts? You see birthday parties, the child goes with party packs to school, and at times you see the party packs with lots of, edibles and all of that. But I know so many schools are beginning to put restrictions into the kind of party packs that children bring to school. However, you hardly find parents that will buy a book as a birthday gift for the child. It's either you buy a computer game or an iPad or a bicycle or something. So let's begin to look inwards, check ourselves. If I would say our children are not reading, how are we supporting our children? And another thing, how do you read as parents? How many parents actually read? These children, they watch us a lot. They learn from us. They learn from what we do more than from what we say or we tell them to do. So if they realize that my mom or my dad is always reading, you see that they will also like to read, and you won't have to struggle with that. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight, Rashida. I'm so grateful for all the points that you outlined here tonight, and we've learned a lot. Pleasure. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Yes. All right. Without wasting much time, and it's getting even more interesting, we have Tolu Asuma, and she's going to be our last speaker for tonight. So please, let's give all our attention, yes, into what she has to say. Tolu Asuma, if you are here, please, I'd like you to switch on your video and kindly unmute your mic. Hello, Tolu, are you here with us?
My video is on. You should be able to see my video.
Okay, thank you. I can see you now. Thank you. So I'll quickly read Tolu's bio. Yes, Tolu Asuma is a goal-driven and results-oriented trained educator and counseling practitioner with success in helping young people achieve their life goals and social, personal well-being. A multicultural, empathic counselor with proven experience of over 10 years who has provided social emotional support to over 20,000 young learners in the education sector to achieve academic life excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Tolu Asuma, and I welcome you. Thank you for joining us here. Tolu, yes, our bio describes her very well. When you see that 20,000 young learners and you feel it's big, I think she has even done much more. At times I think about Tolu and I'm like, how does she do it? Like in a week, you can have 3 to 4 trainings. 3 to 4 trainings. And I'm wondering, massive programs, massive ones. I see her on Instagram, I see her on Facebook. I'm like, Tolu, oh my God. And she's currently working one of the top schools in Nigeria. Yeah, so Tolu, it's a great honor to have you here tonight. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Thank you too. Yeah, so
you're doing a wonderful job with EDU-P.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Yeah, so my first question for you tonight, Tolu, Yes, not every school has school counselors. You know, some school owners do not even see reasons why a counselor is so important. So can you please just tell us why it is relevant to have counselors in our schools? What extra roles do counselors perform that regular subject teachers can't take up in the school? So can you please attend to that? Thank you, Telu.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I want to say a great job to all the speakers who have spoken earlier today. You've all done well. And well done, Rashida. That topic, emotional intelligence, is one topic that, I hold very dear to my heart, because without being emotionally intelligent as an educator, as a teacher, you really can't do much when it comes to that. You can't really fulfill your full potential as a teacher. Now, to the question that Blessing has asked, I would say that, for example, when you go to the hospital, you have a doctor, you have a nurse, you have a consultant. There are even big hospitals that have radiographer and all those, specialists. And I would have to question this evening. So our parents, our teachers that are present. Is it important to have a nurse in the hospital? Is it important to have a radiographer? Is it important to have a consultant? Please, can you answer? You can either unmute your mic or just type your answer in the chat box. Anyone?
Is it important to have a nurse? Let's hear from you. You can unmute your mic or use the chat box. Yeah.
Yes, it is right. So if we, yes, thank you. So if we must have a running hospital, right? I'm sure nobody wants to go to a hospital where it's just a nurse or it's just a doctor. If it's just a doctor working, the doctor is going to be overwhelmed. If it's just a nurse working, the nurse is going to be overwhelmed. The same way, if you don't have a lab attendant and they have to ask you to go and carry out a test outside the hospital or outside the hospital, you know how long it would take you to go to a lab to go and carry out the test and come back. Nobody is probably going to say, oh, because you're having headache, you're throwing up, I think it's malaria, and they're going to, treat you immediately, right? No, you still, because I think you should go for a test. I think you should go to the lab and get tested, right? So the same way, why we should ensure that in Nigeria, we have school counselors in all our schools is the fact that we all perform different roles. As an educator, as a teacher, you have someone who is a school counselor, you have someone who is a teacher, you have someone who is an educational psychologist. We all perform different roles. So you may want to ask, what is the role of a school counselor that a teacher cannot perform? Already, a teacher that is overwhelmed, they already have a lot to deal with, teaching you English, math, numeracy, literacy, depending on the level that you teach. Now, you're now telling the teacher to diagnose whatever it is that's wrong with a child, probably who's not paying attention in school. Maybe the child has a family problem or a family challenge. The child has self-esteem issue. The child has behavioral challenge. How do you expect a teacher to manage all those things? So I'm just going to, streamline the three roles of a school counselor in a school setting. The fact that they help children to identify their strengths and their weaknesses. Fine, you might not say if you're a good teacher, you should know all of that, but not all teachers are actually trained to do that. It will take you a number of years to be able to get to that level. Then you help a child to choose a career path. For example, those who are in the secondary setting, the school counselor helps you to choose the best career for you. They will try and run a psychometric test to know, oh, does this job suit your personality? Does this suit your strength? Does this suit your passion? And all of that. And not only that, children or students who are going through academic challenges in terms of, oh, is it the fact that this child doesn't get to read at home, or this child is not just interested, is not motivated? A school counselor is able to help you in all those areas. And beyond that, they're also able to help children manage their behavior. There are children with behavioral issues that they need to, be diagnosed psychologically and clinically and know that, okay, what exactly is wrong? What is the fundamental challenge with this child? So those are the major roles, let me just put it that way, of a school counselor. It goes beyond that, honestly. What about the place of social emotional learning? Most times, teachers, schools, we focus on the cognitive aspect of education, and that's why I started EduLife counseling. Really, for me, I just feel that a child who has gone to school should not only experience a cognitive or only academic, but what about the place of social education, emotional education, mental well-being, and all of those things should be looked at holistically, because without that, we can't really say we have achieved a complete education. Thank you. Are you there?
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm there. Thank you so much, Tolu. Thank you for outlining the roles of a school counselor. And I know that we have some school leaders and school owners with us tonight, and you've been able to convince us without beyond all reasonable doubt why it's important for us to have school counselors in our school. And I agree with you absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for highlighting those key points with us. Now, Tolu, I would like to ask, what would be your advice, first to teachers, then to parents, on the subject of building partnerships, positive relationships between parents and teachers? What would be your advice as a school counselor?
All right, thank you very much. In over 10 years of practice, I've seen that children who their parents are involved in their academics, in their education. I hope you can all hear me because I think I'm dragging a bit, but I hope you can, right?
It's fine, so, yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay. So parents are involved in their children's education to see the children do better. So when we have parent conference and we see children who their parents have to show about their doing well, we see it in their results. They don't do so well. So it means that those parents are actually involved in the children's life. Parental involvement is low, and that's why it's affecting the children's results. So this is what we do. So those who don't show up their children's PCC, their children's diary, all of that, we try as much as possible. And saying that parents who don't show up, who are not involved in their children's education, parents who don't show up, who are not involved in their children's education, it affects the children's results. You see it that, oh, this child is not doing so well. Because during PCC, you see that over and over. It's the same set of parents that you see in school. And those that are really concerned, those that are really involved, those that are really interested, you see the evidence in their children's results. So this is what we began to do to ensure that we involve and we improve our parent-teacher collaboration. There was something I introduced to my organization when I joined them. We started parenting workshops. So every month we pick a topic where we have parenting workshop, where we talk about different things, how to set up your child for success, how to help your child study, how to manage it, So we started doing all those things. And you see parents started showing up. So for parents who don't show up, so they take it to their group and say, oh, we learned this today, those that have been showing up, so as to encourage those that have not been showing up. Sincerely, you might not get 100%, you might not get 100% involvement, honestly. But the truth of the matter is, it's better to get 80%, 60%, 20%. So we started with the feedback interest, and that has really helped, the children. So number one thing is parent teachers workshop is very important. We are talking about topics that are concerns that teachers, that parents want to talk about. And another thing is, we just don't come up with these topics. We send out Google Forms. So is there an area you need to improve on as a parent? And when we collect those results, we work on that. And again, we notice some of those things with these children. What are the challenges that these children are having? What are the parental challenges that they are having? And we try as much as possible to create a topic around it. So that's one of the major things that have really helped us. And another thing is, apart from the PCC, so parents who show up for PCC, parents who show up for their year group orientation, parents who show up for parent-teacher workshop, at the end of the term, you see the child getting like a citizenship award because the parents have been there. So we want to make other parents too to be involved. You understand? We want to also make them to be involved. And those are the ways you can actually encourage parent-teacher collaboration, because if a child will go and say, Mommy, please, I want to win citizenship award at the end of the term, please ensure that you show up for my event, ensure that you show up for things, then it will also help them. Then communication. I think the teachers should communicate to parents, because there's some schools that actually practice this policy that they don't want teachers to communicate to parents. I don't know how that works, but for me, I think teachers should be able to send mails to parents. And when teachers are able to send mails to parents, they're able to say, oh, this is the progress report. This, at the end of every day, to send mails, oh, this is the progress report, and this is what we think we should work on. And that would really help. That would help. So I hope you've been able to get some points on how you can actually improve parent-teacher collaboration in our schools.
Absolutely, Tolu. Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
You're
so
welcome.
I really loved what you shared with us concerning the parents' workshops, you know, and they filling out Google Forms, trying to find out from them what they would like to know about their child's learning or about the school system, you know, how they can be more supportive. You know, it just corresponds with what Rashid had said earlier on, that we can actually get these parents to learn some of these things. A parent might say, I don't know about phonics. You know, we still have parents that tell their children, say A, what is A? Say A, you know. So if you have these frequent kind of workshops with parents, you won't have the confusion in their homes. You're carrying everybody along. So I really, really love what you just shared. Yes, thank you so much. You've given us really salient points tonight, and I hope school leaders and school owners are really taking note of these things, because some of these points, you don't really just get them every day. Tolu is she's a mentor, and she organizes a lot of workshops that are paid for. So if it's giving you these tips for free right now, please grab it with both hands and keep it very well. Yeah, so before I let you go, Tolu, from your wealth of experience as a teacher, a school leader, a counselor, now, is there a case study you would like to share? You know, if there is a disadvantage, there are pros or cons of this parent-teacher relationships we'll be talking about. I know some teachers will say, I don't want to be insulted. Please, I like to respect myself. Let parents stay on their own lane. Let me stay on my lane. So in your experience, yes, what would you say? Are there pros and cons to this? Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the pros, outweigh the cons really, because the fact is we are trying to build a child. We are building a total child. So how do you build a child without involving the parents? Because the child is still a minor, still age 18, the child is still a minor, he or she still lives with the parents. So how are we supposed to help a child without involving the parents? And I think teachers should change their mindset, because you've had a bitter experience with one parent does not mean that you continue to have, such experience with other parents. So I think we should work on our mindset, like I don't want any parents trouble, because indirectly they are your clients. So you as a teacher, the one to help a child succeed, you should learn on how to communicate with the parents and with the child. You learn to communicate with different types of parents, because really there are different types of parents. I would like to share a story of something that happened a while back. So there was this parent who would, anytime they report the child, she would always make excuses that, she will always blame the teacher. She always blame the teacher. The child is always perfect. But the funniest thing, the child will come and say, I know that my mom can be really dramatic. Please just pardon her. This is it. Because children, they say things. And this is for parents who are here this evening. I believe the parents are here. you know, as much as we also have teachers here this evening, children, they see things. And when you begin to talk about your children's teachers negatively, it's rub on the child saying, oh, that your teacher is such a bigot. It's because the child will see the reason why I should start disrespecting my teacher. And if you are disrespecting someone, how are you supposed to learn from that person? So I think we should be the mirror. If we want our child to get the best out of their teacher, we should also behave nicely as parents. And as teachers, we should learn to communicate with parents. Put yourself in their shoes. That's where empathy comes in. You have to put it, oh, if I were a parent and this happened, there are times that things happen, and as a teacher, you're trying to defend yourself. No, the first one is not to defend yourself. Rather, look at things objectively and critically. Oh, this has happened. Oh, what could have been done better? Oh, we'll look into it. You don't even necessarily have to apologize when issues happen. You don't have to say, I'm sorry. No. Okay, I totally understand how you feel. However, taking note, and I will make sure that this is resolved, or I take or you pay attention next time. So most times, what of the children, the best children that I've produced in my years of career are children who their parents are positively involved and engaged with their teachers. Honestly, you can quote me anywhere. But you see those ones that the parents will always complain about one thing. The children will always complain about one thing. How is that happening on the child? Because there's no way. There's this adage that says that it takes a village to raise a child. And the village involves the parents, the teacher, the school leader, the community. So that's it. That's what I would say on that. You're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So thank you so very much. So yeah, the parents have a role to play. The teachers also have a role to play. Yeah, so if you're parents here, don't keep insulting the teachers at home in the presence of your child. It's going to really affect that child. When they come to school, they will definitely disrespect the teacher. They'll see the teacher as a nobody, and how can they learn from a nobody? So we have to be careful as parents what we say in the presence of our teacher, of our children. Then as a teacher, like Sylvie rightly said, some of us will say, I don't like to beg. I don't like to say, I'm sorry, ma, I'm sorry, ma. It's not about being sorry. It's about learning from the situation. Okay, what could have been done better? Okay, putting myself in the position of this parent. If I were to be the parent of this child, how would I feel? Okay, so what can I do better? So you let the parents know, oh, okay, I see visits with you, and I'm going to work on this and work on that, and it won't happen again. It's as simple as that. All right, so thank you so much. I'm kind of run away from communication. I don't know how schools and teachers survive without communicating with parents. But like Teresa told us at the beginning, every school have their policy and they have reasons. Well, it might not be best, but they have a reason. So you can always liaise with your school leader. If they wouldn't let you communicate with the parents, maybe they want to do the communication themselves. So you just ensure that you communicate promptly with those who you are supposed to report to, so that if anything happens tomorrow, they will be able to defend you and they will say, yes, Mr. This or Miss This actually reported that case to the office. And, you'll be cleared than just keeping quiet and folding your arms and you say, it's none of my business. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know how to say thank you to our speakers enough. If you all help me here. So all of you here, I want you to just please write in the chat box, what have you learned today? What are your major takeaways? We've had 5 excellent speakers talk to us today on issues concerning parent-teacher relationships, emotional intelligence, counseling. So what have you learned today? What are your takeaways? Please put them in the chat box. And at this point, I also like to paste some of our links for you to follow us. Yes, you can follow us through our Facebook, our WhatsApp group, YouTube. Then I also like our speakers to share some of the ways they can reach out to you in the chat box, please share with them. You can also find us on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Blessing Epum. Then Educators and Parents is also on Instagram. You can find us and follow us. So as speakers here, please also put in the chat box how they can reach you if you don't mind. Yes, I can see chats coming from some of us here. Okay, I have one I would like to read out. I have a concern on emotional intelligence. So I really think that emotional intelligence is lacking in some schools as regards how teachers are being treated. I think this should be stressed. Rashida Sadiq, I see like you've responded.
Yes.
Okay.
I did try to send a response.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want me to just add a few words, it is a dicey situation, and it's not really easy for, to give exact advice. But one key component of emotional intelligence is knowing and understanding your emotions. So now I'm happy that you have that grasp that you're feeling victimized. But why exactly are you feeling victimized? Is this something that has been happening over and over again, or is it something that is a one-off? So we are human beings, and there's a way to give feedback that is constructive, and there is a way that isn't. So it's very likely that the report was not a very constructive way. But I like to look at it two ways. Whenever any information is given to me, and that is part of the concept of emotional intelligence, that you have to analyze it very well. You have to try not to take it to heart. If that individual was emotionally intelligent, the person would not write a report that is too negative, because there's no way that you don't have a positive aspect. There's this commend, recommend, and commend way that people give advice. Rather than just saying you are ineffective listening, the person will rather recommend, I recommend that you improve your listening skills. You're going to better grasp that information and possibly use it positively. But the way the person has negated you is enough to kind of feel bad. But as an emotionally intelligent person, you are supposed to respond and not react. Because when we react, it's kind of reflex, and we may overreact. So it's important. I like the fact that you were able to reach out to the school owner. I don't know if the school owner did anything in that regards, but if you're sure that it's not a true reflection of who you are, you can put it in writing, or you can have a sitting. So I'm not sure how your setting is. I always like to do things verbally first, but it's also about being socially aware. What kind of setting do you have? Do you think if it's verbal, it's going to become confrontational? If it is, then maybe you avoid that verbal route and you go through a writing route. But then you make sure that you're polite. You don't reply or write in anger. You get somebody else to have a look at it. Look at someone else's perspective on what has happened, because from your perspective, it's always going to be a bit personal. Like I said, we can't really say exactly what your particular situation is, but in situations like this, let's try not to take it too personal, and let's try to give a response that is civil and try to get to the bottom of whatever the issues are. And if possible, somebody suggested getting a school counselor, getting someone else involved, a third party that would be neutral and would be able to see all sides. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Rashida. So you can also get a third party, somebody that can just look at it, from a neutral angle. And she said something very key. You respond and do not be reactive. It's very, very important. Thank you for sharing your experience. And I hope that some of the advice that you've gained here tonight will help you. There are so many issues, with teachers and supervisors or their leaders, but like Rashida rightly said, you just need to know how to present your case, right? So that you don't even get into more trouble, and you don't want that. Thank you so much, Rashida, for attending to that question for us tonight. Thank you so much. And I can see wonderful comments, yes, in the chat box, everyone appreciating us for the lightning session. Thank you. Somebody said I've learned about appropriate communication, encouraging parents' involvement, and all of that, you know. A fantastic session. Thanks to all the speakers. I was really interested to hear Rashida talking about emotional intelligence, such an important topic. And somebody also said reading a child with the parents' involvement. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. It's been an interesting time with you all. And I'm happy to know that the session was insightful and we were able to pick out one or two things, you know, from this conference tonight. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope you have to join us some other time, maybe very soon for another program. Thank you. And you can unmute your mic right now. You can show us your video. Let's see you. Let's hear your beautiful voices before we go. Yes, you can get to see every one of us now. Thank you. Yes, and time for us to say bye. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, good to see you. Chidu-Peter. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, Patricia, I see you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, babe. Oh, Matthew from Cameroon. Happy to see you. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. Patricia, thank you. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. I'm so glad to see you all. Rams, I see you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. So, all thanks to you and thanks to our wonderful speakers tonight. So it's goodbye from here in Nigeria. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye. Thank you.